Good evening and welcome to Eswatini TV News at 8. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lindo Masugu and your sign language interpreter is Zama Nzimanze. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. His Majesty King Mswati III has disclosed plans to declare Ngwane Teachers College a fully fledged university. Inkosikati Magelangangaza says communities should share the burden of suffering by supporting those who are suffering from illness. The youth and women will have a voice in Senate as senators-elect promise to advance their issues in Parliament. And now let's get straight into the news in detail. His Majesty King Mswati III has disclosed plans to declare Ngwane Teachers College a fully fledged university. His Majesty says plans to transform the college were disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic but will now go ahead as the pandemic has come to an end. The King was speaking when he blessed the graduation of over 500 students at the college.
His Majesty King Mswati III blessed 570 graduates who have satisfied all requirements and completed their coursework. The presence of His Majesty the King in the graduation ceremony signified the King's unwavering, rock-solid commitment to transform the education sector as it is one of the critical pillars of the country's development agenda. The King blessed cohorts of graduates from the academic years of 2020 to 2021 and 2021 to 2022, following that the last graduation event was held in 2019 due to restrictions that were imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Gracing the event alongside His Majesty were Emakhosikati, their Royal Highnesses, Princes and Princesses, Balondolozi, Royal Councillors, and the Acting Prime Minister. Parents, families, and friends came in their numbers to witness their loved ones graduate in the presence of His Majesty. His Majesty the King said plans to transform the college into a university, which were disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, are back on track.
Bekunene ngiyakhumbula nasi lapha iminyakeni lengcile sito kwenda lo msebenzi lona nani vele ni naso sicelo lesibonakala ukuthi nifisa leNgwane College isale iba yi-university lephelele ngesigaba lesiphelele bekunene kepha ke ngesigaba ukuthi naku emhlabeni kuhambe kwahamba kwavela tingcinamba lefaka ekhatsi njengale lama pandemics lebeka solo akhona asihlupha kakhulu siyabona ukuthi lokunyenti kugcine kungasahambi ngeline noma ngendlela yangakhona lebesivele sibhekile kanjalo kepha ke sesinethemba bekunene esigabeni sekutheni nyalo nje basesengcile kito tonke letingcinamba temikhuhlane lebeti khona eveni sesitawubuyela kulesigaba sekwe ukuthi iNgwane College njoba liphupho layo bekwe ukuthi libe university ligcine litholakele lelo phupho bekunene.
His Majesty the King said the employment of teachers, which is a topical issue, is being addressed.
Sivile bo bafunzi lapha bavele batibika esigabeni sekutheni solo besolo kumikwe esigabeni kwekuthi labo labaphothulwako babothishela base bathole emathuba kwekuthi bayofundzisa bavele batibika namuhla ukuthi utawuvuleka emathuba bekunene njengoba bavele bekusolo kune COVID sesengcile COVID njoba sesengcile COVID nakona namuhla sila sitokwenda lo msebenzi wekuphothulwa kwenu bekunene kusho kona ukuthi kusetaba kunyende lokutawulandzela bekunene.
The acting Prime Minister, Chief Mgoka Kamete, reiterated the firm commitment of His Majesty's government to transform government-owned colleges into universities.
The college will continue to reaffirm its unwavering loyalty and dedication towards seeing the transformation you so desire come to fruition. And it is hoped that government and the 12th Parliament shall look into this initiative in order to bring your vision to the fore, Your Majesty.
The college principal, Deliwe Khumalo, said the college needs assistance in its quest to transform into a university.
When our Pagati, the college is also in the process of acquiring a certification of being a fully fledged government institution.
The newest cohort of educators in the country was excited to graduate in the presence of His Majesty the King. The graduating students were awarded primary teachers' diplomas in sciences, languages, social studies, applied sciences, and early childhood care and education. On the news, I'm Sandile Makanye reporting from Ngwane Teachers Training College in Hlangano.
Ngwane Teachers College graduates who were blessed by His Majesty King Mswati III were beaming with pride and excitement on their special day. The graduates could barely hide their gratitude to His Majesty the King for making their day special.
For the graduates who were blessed by His Majesty King Mswati III, today was a very special day, which they say will forever be etched in their minds. We spoke to some of them, and they went on to express their gratitude to His Majesty the King for taking time out of his busy schedule to officially bless them here at Ngwane Teacher Training College.
Sidiva sibancane nakutawufika silo kithi. Kepha ngaloko sitawuthanda ukubongela kakhulu nekuthi siyite le mcimbi efilomkhulu kangaka.
Sijabule kakhulu ukuthi emva kwekushikane kalokungaka lusuku lwebekade solo sililangadelele basithi vela nje sithokota kakhulu ukuthi besingabusiswa ngingonyama eMaswati.
And bekuyimvu bese singayibona ukuthi ngento kamina ngidiva ngimncane kakhulu nje ukuthi sengimloyo ngiyaphambi kwakhe like ngiyofacana naye face to face. Ngijabule kakhulu, siyajabula futhi sonke siyabonga.
Ngithokota kakhulu namhla kuthola lelithuba lekuthi nami ngibe ngiluphothulwako ekolishi ngaphasi kwekuba ngithishela wasebangeni lelincane letemfundo. So kuthatha le certificate namhla sekuba ngithishela kulicapho kimi. Ngiyathemba futhi ukuthi ngitawenda lokho lokufanele ngikwende nje njengathishela. Kwatise phela ukuthi kubona lo mudze welive akusiyo indvo lendeka onke malanga. Namhlanje ngiyawuthola nami ukuthi ngichawule kulomudla. Lokho ke kwenda ukuthi ngijabule angadi nekuthi ngakubeka ngemagama lathini.
Ngijabule kakhulu namuhla ukuthi ilanga lize lifikele ukuthi siphofule. Lilanga libe solo silangazelela kakhulu. It's just a great honor ukuthi namuhla ukhethile ukuthi ede atawusibusisa. Kuyasijabulisa kakhulu nekuthi nje sitambona kuyimfokodo kakhulu kithi lokho.
The new teachers who have been unveiled by His Majesty the King say they will do all it takes to make sure that they strengthen the education sector, as it is one of the key pillars of development. On the news, I am Sandile Makanye reporting from Ngwane Teacher Training College in Hlangano.
Inkosikati Magelangangaza says communities should share the burden of suffering by supporting those who are suffering from illness. She says this year's theme for the Hospice and Palliative Care Day speaks to showing compassion to those suffering from serious illness. She has said this during the celebration of World Hospice and Palliative Care Day held at the Eswatini Hospice at Home on Friday, where she was represented by Dr. Njabu Gwebu.
This day was celebrated under the theme Compassionate Communities Together for Palliative Care. Inkosikati Magelangangaza said the burden of suffering would be easier for those who are ill if communities supported them.
As we commemorate this day, we celebrate it with humility, as we are aware that it is because of His Majesty's wise leadership and guidance and government's commitment, who continuously provide financial support to hospice through a subvention. His Majesty's government, through the Ministry of Health, has introduced policies and programs which have strengthened the Eswatini health system to such high levels, which have allowed Hospice to complement government's efforts to create a healthy nation. We also need to make our communities the best places for our children who also need these services, and make sure they are catered for, and they will also pass it on to the next generation.
Eswatini Hospice at Home Board Chairperson Mark Ward said this year's theme encourages humanity.
Absolutely vital that the community start to participate and have empathy for people on their last journey in life. And this theme that's happening this year, I think it's vital that communities start to participate in what's going along in the different areas.
Inkosikati Magelangangaza thanked companies that continue to support Eswatini Hospice at Home and further encouraged individuals to also give what they can to the home, which helps many eMaswati. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Matapa.
The youth and women will have a voice in Senate as senators-elect promise to advance their issues in Parliament. The newly elected senators say focusing on these sectors as well as agriculture, among others, will address a lot of challenges affecting Eswatini. They have said this after winning elections in the House of Assembly for seats in Senate.
The 10 women and men have expressed their excitement and what they will do for the country in the next 5 years.
Agriculture ke isithinza sonke ufunzile noma ukafunzi.
Relieved. I think that's the first thing, because I think I was sitting in there with adrenaline just pouring over my body.
Siya pledge ke support yethu kwekuthi live sitawuqhubeka sijinge siliphakamisa umjeka. Our ailing economy ngiyafisa ukuthi ithuthuke ukuthi wonke umuntu angakhona kutimela. Wonke umuntu ufuna kudla. I'll make an example ngesikhathi se-COVID. Everyone needed food. Everyone needed to eat. So noma kuhle noma kubi kufanele sidle.
Ngathi ngiyaphuza. It's all what I can say now. Ngiyabonga kakhulu, ngiyabonga.
Yakhiwe imigwaqo ukuthi ibe khona esimeni lesikahle nemithetho ke le evikela abantu abakhubatekile nemithetho wonke lenta ukuthi wonke umuntu aphile kahle.
Sitawu cala la sigcine khona ngoma live kuthina ukuthi siqhubeke leka first world. Mningi umsente ufuna ukuthi siyente nemithetho lofuna ukuthi siyishaye.
The senators-elect will be joined by 20 more who are yet to be appointed by His Majesty King Mswati III. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Samuel Siwekoza, Parliament.
The Deputy Prime Minister's Office Principal Secretary Melusi Masugu says going forward, Eswatini will ensure that disabled people are not left behind when disasters occur. He said this during the commemoration of the International Day for Disaster Reduction under the theme Fighting Inequality for a Resilient Future.
The Deputy Prime Minister's Office Principal Secretary Melusi Masugu says the commemoration of the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction has made government to realize the importance of not leaving behind disabled people when there is disaster.
Vele nyalo kusukela nyalo siye embili kulomnyaka nje wa23 njengoba sicelebrate lolusuku sicommemorate lolusuku namhlanje vele sende show ukuthi abantu labakhubatekile siyabafaka ekhathi kuma plans ethu lesinawo sathi lokho ukuthi bangakuphi send a sort of a mapping etindzaweni tonke nje letikhona even kwathi ukuthi abantu labakhubatekile bangakuphi so that nabo bangatosalele emuva nangabe kunetehlakalo even.
Representing the Federation of Disabled People in Eswatini Fort Swai is Mhlonishwa Mabuto. Mabuto says disabled people are the most affected when there is disaster. He challenges the National Disaster Management Agency that when collecting data of affected individuals, it should stipulate the number of disabled people.
Uyafisa lokuthi uma nicollecta idata siyesive la ema updates ukuthi nayicollecta idata ukuthi imphakathi ngitsite esikhanze ema besimame bang 50 laba lebonakala indlu ematfutsa mangaki but sesingeva ukuthi baqhubele bangakhi nibakhanzile so uthi kodwa uyafisa ngasi nane correction ye-data umfokotele avele naye.
Speaking on behalf of Roman Catholic Church Bishop is Father Thokozani Mkhonta.
The Catholic Church in Eswatini has just completed a disaster risk reduction training for its parishes. It is currently setting up disaster risk reduction teams in its parishes as a means of empowering local communities to effectively reduce disaster risk and mitigate the impact of disasters.
Disabled people are estimated to be over 20,000 in the country. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Mzimpofu.
The ongoing war between Israel and Hamas is expected to have a negative impact on the global economy. Economist Mgosi Dube says it will be expected that the nation experiences hikes in crude oil. Dube says inflation is also expected to increase.
The war between Israel and Hamas that is currently ongoing might have a negative impact on the economy for countries that are trading directly or indirectly. The Kingdom of Eswatini, just like other nations, is expected to be affected. Thembinkosi Dube, an economist, says the inflation rate is expected to increase.
One can say that we can anticipate an effect on the price of oil in the pump. Maybe in the next few weeks we will see a report that there needs to be an increase in the price of oil, which is what actually the global market is anticipating. However, it's not as bad as we thought. The severity of the change in the price of oil will solely depend on how long the war takes and how intense it takes and how many countries join in it. If there are more countries, especially the oil-producing companies, we can expect a further hike in the price of oil, which definitely will fuel inflation.
The chairperson of SADC issued a statement regarding what is taking place in Israel, stating that SADC condemns all acts of violence and calls for all parties to exercise restraint, as an escalation of this conflict would adversely impact and negate the international community's effort of sustainable peace and security in the Middle East. SADC further expresses deep concerns over the loss of hundreds of innocent civilians' lives of both sides and the destruction of properties. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, picture sourced from DW.
And now let's take a look at the financial indicators.
Standard Bank. It can be.
We begin our sports roundup with the official confirmation of the 2023 and Malaria Fun Golf tournament to be staged on the 20th of October at Royal Swazi Spa, Eswatini. The second edition is expected to raise funds that will then assist in the fight against malaria.
To begin our sports roundup, Eswatini and Malaria Fund has confirmed the second edition of End Malaria Fund Annual Golf Day to be staged next week Friday at the Royal Swazi Spa, Eswatini.
Basically, to sensitize the nation on such initiatives that we're doing towards raising resources in mitigating the shortfalls that we have as we implement malaria initiatives on the communities or on the ground. So this initiative is one that has been joined by various companies, has been open to the public to join, and currently we have 18 companies that have joined. We were aiming for 20, and we are sure that we will be in a position to get 20, which is 24 balls. Each company that comes on board is able to pay 10,000 Amalangeni to join, and in that sense, we're able to raise 10,000 per company, and we're currently sitting at 180,000, which is resources that will be injected into the National Malaria Program as they go about implementing their initiatives in the community.
Last year's edition raised a total of 100,000 Emarangeni. The fund explained that choosing golf was based on the fact that it is one particular sport that raises funds easily and quickly. And in other news, Eswatini Women Football Association has encouraged the women national team Step Sampligazi following their exit in this year's COSAFA Women Tournament.
The Women Football Association
Chief Operations Officer Ndanduengosi Hlatrao says, despite an early exit to the tournament, there were signs of improvement which shows positives of the National Women's League.
Logo reflect back to the league yabo makele khona even le khona labadlali labadlala le dulu.
Stebe managed to collect one victory in the 3 group stage games played. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
All right, that's how we reach the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we leave you, here's a reminder of the headlines. His Majesty King Mswati III has disclosed plans to declare Ngwane Teachers College a fully fledged university. Inkosikazi Magelangangaza says communities should share the burden of suffering by supporting those who are suffering from illness. The youth and women will have a voice in Senate as senators-elect promise to advance their issues in Parliament. Well, that's all the news we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the weather. Here's the Eswatini TV News.
Dinso tethu divikelwa ngekuthi kwekuqala kumcuka ukuthi sitipopole sivakashe